In the news this week, rare and interesting One Nation versus Greens on the Upper House debate.
Who won, who loses, what our expert is saying about today's debate.
Youth promises, the Liberal Party's plan for youth futures ahead of the state election.
Starry, starry night, stunning photos from NASA's Perseverance rover on Mars, plus Dr. Miller's COVID comment.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening, it's good to be back and it's great to see you again. First, with less than 2 weeks before the state election, the Greens and One Nation are duking it out on WAMN News. Greens MLC Diane Evers and One Nation WA leader Colin Tinknell got together in the WAMN studio this week to put forward their pitch to young voters this election. It's a debate rarely seen outside the halls of Parliament that revealed the key policy positions that could change the course of the next government. Kit Sanders has the highlight of the debate.
Diane Evers and Colin Tinknell are both members of the Legislative Committee for the South West region. There is much that they agree on, but much that they don't. The Greens have long been seen as a progressive minority party, often in support of social and environmental change. Conversely, One Nation has had an often pervasive reputation of conservative views.
And, you know, I love the comments about this, but look on their voting ticket, Greens are last. If he agrees with the environment being important and climate being important, why are Greens last on the voting tickets? I don't understand. Now, the other thing is policies.
Where have you put One Nation last?
Because you disagree with everything we do. You vote against us. There's your debate.
It is hard to think that they would share much in common. But caring for the regions and low-income families seems to have brought them together. At the end of the day, they both want to achieve what they feel is best for the people of Western Australia.
We will also be helping the social issues too, because we know that people, particularly in the regions, need equitable services.
Government is not friendly to the regional areas, so I do not see that support happening in the southwest.
Another thing they agree on is holding the government to account, with worries that if Labor wins a majority in the Legislative Council, their power will be uncontrollable.
I think the most important thing in this election is it looks like the government may win this election, and who's going to hold them to account?
However, this is not to say that these two members are best friends. In fact, a few cheeky comments flew between the two, with each giving as good as they got.
Maybe in the past, Colin, you didn't know about women who had children at home who worked part-time while the kids were at school, or students who studied part-time or studied full-time and had to work part-time. You're talking about white males that were supporting a family, and that's a very small group of the people.
This debate was a fantastic opportunity for the minor voices in our government to be heard, to share policy platform and their plans for this great state. Visit our Facebook or website if you want to see the full interview. Kit Sanders, WAMN News.
And with this rare debate over, what are the verdicts from the experts? How will voters and other political parties react to this debate? For more analysis, political expert Dr. Ian Cook joined me earlier. Dr. Cook, thanks for your time. Who do you think performed better during this morning's debate? Is it Diane or Colin?
Well, I think they both did a reasonable job in terms of presenting themselves effectively and somewhat convincingly in terms of sort of clarity and coherence around what they were saying. I mean, they obviously worked out what they wanted to get across, and I think they both did a reasonable job in getting their messages across.
Do you believe that voters who are considering minor parties will understand the Greens or One Nation better after this debate?
I think every opportunity, we just rarely ever hear from the Greens and One Nation in any sort of systematic or extended way. They're often just sort of, we get little grabs and moments, and we don't really get any sort of clearer sense of the parties, what they stand for, and the full range of the policies that they offer. So, I think it's an incredible opportunity and a really valuable one for everyone to actually hear from parties we never hear about because they're excluded from the leaders' debate because, the mainstream media just isn't interested in minor parties.
Should young voters be confident that these two minor parties can hold the government to account?
Well, I think this is where one of the sort of issues that I think we could have got a little bit more of a debate around, because for the most part they just tended to sort of not address the points each other made. But what we know is that the One Nation has systematically voted with the Liberals and that Greens tend to vote with Labor. And so what we needed to sort of hear from someone like we need to hear from Colin Tinknell as well. Are they actually going to still just stick with the Liberal position and pretty much just reflect the Liberal position most of the time, or are they going to do something different? And the same question, I think, goes to Diane Evers in terms of, the Greens have pretty much systematically supported Labor. How can we trust you that you're actually going to hold them to account? So I think that they could have sort of challenged each other on that, and because I think that is one of the questions that I don't know that we can say has been fully answered through that debate.
What will both Labor and Liberal parties think about this rare debate?
I mean, I think they'd be, surprised, upset to some extent. They like to have they like to have it to themselves. I mean, they don't like hearing other voices. They don't want minor parties. They find them an irritant, and they're quite happy for them to be silenced. So I think any moment when the minor parties aren't silenced is a moment that the major parties will tend to sort of regret and be negative toward.
WA's youth is on the Liberal Party's agenda with a bid to secure the future of young people heading into the state election.
The party has released their plan to support young people while claiming the Labor Party aren't delivering on their promises. Nelson Liu reports.
Leading the charge for WA's youth, the Liberal Party planning more help for young people with a commitment to support them for the future.
The future of this state, the future of this country is in the hands of our young people.
With the election around the corner, new policies are on the table. Their priority, job creation in new and emerging industries and apprenticeships, 20,000 of them. Health is also a focus with a mental health package. They're tackling homelessness with 500 new beds and a grassroots commitment for community facilities.
The problems are in our community right now and we can't afford to wait.
The party's youth spokesperson Tony Kristovich says they care about young Western Australians who they believe have been deceived by WA Labor.
The Labor Party talk a big game that actually don't deliver anything. I think young people need to understand, don't believe the image, you need to look at the substance behind that image.
Does he think young people are well informed?
No, I don't.
But he's promising he's fighting for them for a more democratic state.
If the Labor Party wins the upper house, they will just do whatever they choose to do. There will be no checks and balances in the Parliament and they will not listen to anybody.
Youth Minister Dave Kelly's office has so far not responded with their youth plan, and the Liberals are demanding the Minister be accountable for WA's youth.
I'm looking forward to him coming on your program and telling me what the Labor Party is offering our young Western Australians.
Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
A citizen's arrest has resulted in the capture of a man who allegedly yelled racial obscenities at an Aboriginal woman and her daughter before attempting to burn them with a makeshift flamethrower. Goshnell's residents saw the man painted with swastika walking Goshnell's on Wednesday night and called the police after detaining him. He has been charged with an unlawful act with intent to harm and conduct to racially harass, and he appeared in a Perth Magistrates Court this week.
A women's and babies hospital is set to become the next addition to WA's healthcare system, with Labor promising the fully funded hospital if elected. Work has already begun on the $1.8 billion project, and designs revealed on Thursday feature obstetric and birthing suites, along with other specialist services. Labor says it'll be a strategic project designed to boost jobs and the economy while improving WA's health services.
Means every angle and every aspect of government will be dedicated to ensuring that local contractors, local businesses, local suppliers and local apprentices benefit from this important project. And that'll be a great thing for local.
News is back on social media this week after controversial media bargaining code passed the upper house with key amendments. The changes mean platforms will not be subject to the code unless the company is specifically placed under the code by the Treasurer. Platforms may be able to avoid mandatory bargaining provisions by reaching commercial agreements with publishers, a move that some say will leave small players overlooked.
It works okay for large publishers with big teams behind them at executive, administrative, legal, financial levels. Small publishers don't have those sorts of resources, so they need to have a mechanism to actually bring to the table and provide legitimate and reasonable outcomes for both parties.
Ghana has received the first of the World Health Organisation's COVAX vaccinations. The scheme is intended to ensure that poorer nations, tailing behind developed countries in vaccination funds, are still able to inoculate their populations. The WHO predicts the COVAX program will save thousands of lives and approximately $375 billion per month globally. Joe Biden's administration has undertaken its first military action with an airstrike against the Hezbollah brigades in Syria, killing one and wounding others. The Pentagon says the strike was a retaliation for a rocket attack in Iraq that killed a civilian and wounded a US service member. US officials have called it a proportionate and deliberate measure to de-escalate the situation in Syria and Iraq.
The stunning first colour images of Mars from the newly landed Perseverance rover have made their way back to Earth. Perseverance's Mastcam Z can shoot incredibly detailed images from any angle. One photo shows a crystal clear image of a small rock formation from meters away. The technology brings us never before seen detail of our red neighbour. The pictures are so clear you can almost imagine it as an Earth's desert, and not the Jezero crater 216 million kilometres away.
That's our weekly news and current affairs. For news anytime, go to our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and YouTube for the latest articles, press conference and videos. Until next Sunday evening, from Sarah and myself, we wish you good health and good night.
Thanks for watching.